Welcome back to another epic devblog video. We have a lot of goodies to cover today. Some of this stuff you've been waiting for maybe a month. So pretty exciting times. Let's start with I think the spinning wheel. So I don't believe this was covered in the last video. I don't think it was done in the last video. There is a spinning wheel now. You can craft it in the woodworking station over there, or if you have your own, of course. And the spinning wheel lets you make string, thread, and rope. And you can see here the string can be made from a variety of sources: cotton, hemp fiber, reed manna grass, jungle grass, cobwebs, or wool. And you get different outputs. Well, wool gives you 4, everything else gives you 1. The thread is a little more specialized. It can only be made out of cotton or cobweb, which would be silk. Because, thread's finer, so it needs a material that can be wound finer, I guess. I don't know. And then the rope segment, you can either make it out of a block of wool or out of some string. With these changes, or with this addition, I will be changing some things in the future. So right now I don't want this, I want this. Right now I believe wool can be made, wool can be made out of cotton, which is kind of dumb because cotton is a plant thing and wool is an animal thing. So I'm going to get rid of that recipe at some point in the future. But for right now, it does still exist, but it will be removed, and you will have to get wool from sheep, and you will have to get cotton. Well, you always had to get cotton from cotton plants, so I guess that doesn't matter. But so a lot of these things you can go either way. Interestingly though, thread can't be made from wool. I don't know how realistic that is. I would think you probably could make thread from wool. Maybe I'll add it. I don't know. I'm not too worried about it. So then I'm assuming that the weaving loom also would not have existed, because obviously if I didn't have the spinning wheel, how could I have the weaving loom? I'm just looking at my notes here. This has got to be right. So the weaving loom is pretty dope. I really like how this model turned out. It's very basic, I contemplated making like where do I have to put my hands? The style that's like this, where you have the upright thing, and then the thread runs here, and then on this upright thing, I don't even really know how it works. I looked at some pictures of medieval era weaving looms, and they looked impressive. Like, I'm not gonna lie, they did look really impressive, but I didn't know how I would transfer that into Minetest. But then I seen this style where it's just pretty much 2 posts up and down, 2 posts crosswise, and then the texture kind of didn't work with the resolution. It was hard to really do how it would really work. But you have basically in real life how it would work is you have a bunch of strings tied to the top, and they are either tied straight to the top or to a bar that hangs from the top. You normally just have them tied right to the top. And then at the bottom of these strings, there's a weight. And a lot of the things I saw did like a bunch of, maybe 10 strings together at a weight. So at the bottom, you'd have a whole handful of weights going across, and then you weave the thread back and forth through it to make a piece of fabric. And that's how, like, the engines did it, and before they invented this other method that is better or something. I don't really know. But so the mechanics of it has this nice little progress display thing, I guess. Also, as the hover text, it'll tell you what percentage done it is. So it takes, I wish I could remember, did I write that down in the news? No, I didn't. Okay. So I'm not positive. I want to say it's 4 string. Make 1 sheet of fabric. Whatever the case. Oh, yeah, there's that mistake I made. Oops. But they make the fabric, and it shows it here, and then once it gets full, it puts the fabric there, and you get the point. You get the point, I'm sure. So then, now that we have fabric, we need a way to dye it. So there is this delightful looking dyeing station, which I really think turned out really nice. This might be my favorite part of it. Just the what do you call that? The tie-dye look of all the different colors. And basically how this works is you take your white fabric and you put it in the fabric/thread slot, because you can also dye thread. And then I have to get some materials here, I guess. I need some salt. And you might be asking, why do you need salt to dye things? You know, I don't really know, but I did research, as I am wont to do. Is that the correct expression? Anyways, I did research. And it said you put salt in when you dye fabric. It helps the dye hold faster or something. I don't really know, to be honest. So basically, yeah, you put your stuff in here. Oh, and it breaks. That's not supposed to happen. Wow. What happened? This is embarrassing. But at least it didn't crash. And we have no way to put it into our player inventory, but it's still working. So basically how this works is, well, you can't see all of it because part of it doesn't display anymore. Oops. Yeah, every piece of fabric or thread you make uses one piece of dye, one piece of salt, and then one piece of fabric or thread. The water fills up this little bar that you can't see anymore, and that lasts for 10 dyeings. So fortunately I can do this to get the items out. I don't know exactly how I managed to break that, because it was working just fine. I must have inadvertently done something that broke it. Alright, but so now we have this dyed fabric. Yay! And now we can go to the sewing station, which was here before. Was it? No. The sewing station wouldn't have been here because you couldn't sew without fabric. All right, so the sewing station lets us make all kinds of cool things. Not the least of which is this stain brush. One stick, one string, and a group thread. So any color thread will work. It doesn't matter. We have curtains. They're short and long. I apologize that the preview texture, you can't really tell the difference too easily. The short curtain has one. Let's see if there's one where it really shows well. There's not. But there's like this little rope to hold the curtain open, basically. The tall one has two. And when you place them, they're different sizes in the world. And then we have some small cushions, we have some full block cushions, we have some half block cushions, and then we have the glider, the sail for sailboats, X-Decor curtain, and the X-Decor cushion. Now, because I don't have these items to craft this stuff, I can't really make any of it that way. But you know, no worries, absolutely no worries. I believe those are all part of the furniture mod. Yeah. So I'll just grab one of each of these curtains just to show the difference. So we have the short curtain and the long curtain. Actually, I should have placed this higher. And they do hang down a little bit below the node. And right-clicking on them switches between the open and closed variants. You know, very nice. Oops. Does help if you click on the... I should probably change that so the tall one has a longer collision box. This does mean, though, that you can still place something up against the wall and have the curtains hang into it. So if you had, say, the sewing station here, and we had the short curtains, they don't interfere with each other because it doesn't exist in that space. It just hangs into it, if that makes any sense. So that is that. Let's take a quick look at these other cushions. So I have a full cushion and a half cushion, and these are made again in the sewing station. I should have picked brighter colors. That's actually not even a cushion, that's a block of wool. Yeah, let's grab the cushion. So we got these cushions. You can sit on the cushions if you click on the top of them, same as with a chair. Yay! So they kind of work like the stools do, where you can sit on them. Oh, also, They're bouncy a little bit. I don't know if you can really tell. Maybe. Maybe. Yeah, see, they bounce a little bit. Kind of, you know, they're cool like that. They don't do anything for fall damage, so, you know, that doesn't matter. Yeah, so we have all the different threads. Blah, blah, blah. Boring, boring, boring. I guess I need to do this. I still haven't figured out how to fix this. So when you get off of a chair, you lose any physics overrides still. So with this new furniture, a couple things have been added to the woodworking station. We have the chairs, and then we have chairs with cushions. We have the short stools and the tall stools with cushions. And they're all just made the same as, well, actually, let me show you. The normal cushions, a block of wood and a stick. And the cushion, or the stool with the cushion, is the exact same, but it uses one of the cushions. Duh. Okay. And then we have the dyeing station, we have the sewing station. So the 4 new stations are made in the woodworking station here. Where's my anvils? Here. Which I haven't talked about yet, but the stain station is finally available and existing and should be, wait, has that not pushed to the server yet? Interesting. Well, it will be craftable in here with steel and tin. This is what it looks like. They exist, so I can demo how to use them because they work a little different than you might expect. So we have these 3 fullness meters. I don't know what you'd call them. These 3 things that let you know how much of this material you have. So you can put the chitin in. You can only put it in one at a time. It will eventually let you put a stack there, and it'll just fill up as much as it can. But for the time being, you have to do them one by one. Coffee grounds are what you're using for the stain. Coffee grounds are made by going to the mortar and just throwing in coffee beans. So very simple. Water. This works the same as the water for the dyeing station. So you can use either the buckets or the clay buckets, or the clay pots rather, to add the water. And you get the empty one back. They do all max out at 20 is the internal variable. So you can put 20 chitin in, you can put 20 coffee grounds in, and you can do 2 buckets of water. Each bucket of water adds 10 quantities of water, however you want to refer to it. 10 amounts. And then you can put a stack of brushes, and you can do the blank brushes, or you can do a brush that has stain on it and is worn, and you can make a new brush from it. So with all of these bars filled and with a brush here, you can create the different color stain you want. So say let's just say we want a golden oak, and they go lightest to darkest as such. So golden oak is your lightest, black stain is the darkest. This is your next level. That's the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. You know, because there's no documentation here showing how any of this works, which is why I'm making this video. So we take the golden brush, we click the button, and it outputs one here, and you'll notice we lost a little bit of our chitin, our ground coffee, and our water. So every brush you create uses 1 chitin, uses 1 water, uses 1 brush, and the number of coffee ground that it needs depends on the color. So because I made the lightest, we only needed 1 coffee ground. If we wanted to make the darkest, it uses a lot of coffee ground. Now, like I said, this holds 20 coffee grounds here. And these brushes, if I go to inventory, I think they're still visible just this way. Yeah. So if you look at this, you'll know. If you look at this, you'll notice stain brush number 1 for the golden oak, and the black stain brush is brush number 7, etc., etc. So the lightest is level 1, the darkest is level 7, and increasingly the number goes up. Makes sense, right? Well, that number is used for how much coffee grounds are taken. So if you're making the black stain, you will need 7 coffee grounds. If you're making mahogany, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'd need 5 coffee grounds to make that. That's how it works. It doesn't ever pull these items again, so you do have to just manually pop them in there to fill it back up. And this works as you would expect for everything but water. You can't fill it if you're going to end up wasting material, which I might change. Right now, you can only put water in if you're less than halfway full. So if you're at 51% filled, which technically you couldn't be because it's divided into 20, so that'd be 55% full, you can't put more water until you're below halfway. So that might get changed because that's not how the dye station works. The dye station doesn't care. It maxes it out. But the dye station, one bucket will fill it and this fills it halfway. So otherwise what you could do is you could overfill it. If you were at 90% and you added another bucket, you'd be at 110%, and then the bar doesn't show, and it needs some work yet, okay? But at least it's here and usable. So then with these different stain brushes, I should really grab some furniture. Yeah, let's just grab this chair with the green cushion or blue cushion. Why not? And we'll just put it right here because again, why not? And now, there we go. Oh, because the back side of it's not pointable? That's goofy. Oops. And now you can stain your furniture. And you can only stain darker. So if you want to get it a lighter color, you have to have a sanding block. You can sand the stain off of it, which isn't really true to real life because the stain permeates into the wood and you'd have to remove a pretty good chunk of the wood to actually remove the stain to stain it lighter. But, you know. And then you can stain it different colors. And to demo this, actually let's take this black stain brush and we'll turn it to a golden oak stain brush. So this just needs to be any of the group brush, or I think it's not brush. I think it's group stain brush. It really doesn't matter. It just, any of the stain brushes can be used. And then once you wear a brush out, I forget how many uses it has, it just turns back into the brush without stain. So technically speaking, you only really ever have to make one of these and you can just reuse it ad infinitum. But you know, if you have multiple different colors of things you want to be staining, it would make sense to have multiple of them. So you're just swapping between your inventory, but you know, do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. And of course you can dig any of the furniture that you've stained and it will go into your inventory as the stained variants. As explained in a previous video though, if you put them into the chests and you sort them, you do lose the stain and they just all go together. Use that, you know, to your advantage if you want. That's totally something that I don't want to say exploit, but it's totally something you can do. Let me see. I think that's most of the things. There's just a couple other little things I want to mention. I changed the dye. So it has a new texture now. Ooh, yeah, new texture. Ooh. Nobody really cares that it's a new texture. But I bring this up because I did some behind the scenes work. So the way the dye worked was there was basically a table that had the dye name. So let me pull this up. So like the dye name is dark green dye, and then the internal name is dark_green. So there was a table that had these values and it would just register everything through that way. You know, whatever, fine. No big deal, it works, you know, good, whatever. Well, see, I had this thing with, I don't even know where I'm trying to go. Oh, here we go. I had this little issue that when I created all of these different furniture pieces and stuff, I didn't really feel like making all of these individual textures because that's a lot of work. So what I just did, I created a grayscale image, and then using the multiply modifier, texture modifier, I just used a hex value for the colors, and that worked fine. So I pretty much copied the table from dye, pasted into my furniture mod, and then added the hex values, And then I realized, well, I have these, but I also have the threads. Oh, wait, I can't. I also have the threads in the fabric. And those also need to be dyed to match the dye colors. So I copied that table again from the furniture mod where I added the hex values, and I put it into the thread mod. And I think there was like 3 files that I had to have this table in addition to the table already existing in the dye mod without the hex values. Oh, the wool mod, no. Yeah, well, I ended up doing that later. It was extremely inefficient though, because I had the same table in multiple files. So when I was changing a single hex value, I had to open every single file to change that hex value. Very inefficient, very bad way of doing things. So I copied the dye mod from my test game and put it into the world mods folder for the server. And then I just added those hex values to that table, deleted the tables from the other mods, and just referenced the dye table. So now there's only one table that has the name, the internal name, or I guess the description, the name, and the hex value. So now I can change, let me just pull this up because this way works a little easier. I can just change the hex value in one file, and barring these two, the pink or whatever color it is on every single one of these items will automatically all change to pretty much match exact. So yeah, that makes my life a lot easier for the future. I haven't actually checked out how that looks, so I should probably do that because some people might really hate it. Let me just check for mail real quick. Somebody gave me a column. See you? See you? I don't know how you would pronounce that other than see you. We want to go to the mall. That's this way. Because inside of the mall there was wool. So I changed, in addition to changing the dye texture, because the dye might actually provided the textures for every single color instead of just doing a multiply, which I thought was kind of dumb. Too many files or too many textures to deal with. So I changed the wool as well. It's a 32 by 32 pixel image. I basically just took the white wool image, upscaled it using either low halo or no halo, I don't remember which, and then I added a little bit of noise to it. And I don't know, I think it looks okay. The colors may have changed a little bit. Like if we pull up, like these dye colors aren't necessarily 100% accurate to the old dye colors. The pink changed the most. Everything else stayed very similar. Like you could probably change or go side by side to, you know, a single player or another server dye that they haven't modified the colors, and probably everything, but I think brown and pink would be almost an exact match. The color pink was just horrible, so I changed it so it actually looks, in my opinion, nice. Like that's a nice pink that I would like. The other pink kind of looks like chewed bubblegum. Just, oh, it's disgusting. So that's why that. And the brown I had to change because it really did not work well at all with the multiplication that was going on. Oh, hey, somebody sells pineapple rings? Wait, I don't see any pineapple rings. Whose is this? Wally's Groceries and More. Where's the pineapple rings, dude? You're advertising pineapple rings, but you don't have any. I'm very disappointed. I'm going to leave a bad review. Whose was this? This is Wally's shop. Does Wally have a mailbox? I want to leave him a bad review. I think that's... Oh, no. Why is this roped off? 18 of 99 mine, but why would you rope that off? It's an empty chest. That's also an empty chest. Oh, I have to look at the red ones. Wally's mailbox. I need a book. I'm gonna publicly shame Wally. And we'll just call it Why No Pineapples Dough. How do you spell dough? Dough? There's a DHO? No, that doesn't look right. DHU? Dough? Do? I'll just leave it as Why No Pineapples. Why not? Yeah. Your shop sign has a pineapple slice but I find no pineapples for sale. Very misleading. Leading? Is that right? I think that's right. Very misleading. Sad face, cry face. Save, and we want to send this to Wally. There you go, Wally. You got mail. Ooh, a dirt monster. I think that is it for the changes this time around. I can't remember if I tweaked any textures of anything else. I don't think so. The wool changed. The dye texture changed. I think that was the only two that changed in regards to the changes to the dye mod. And then it was mostly just the new stations for sewing and for staining. I do need to figure out why that one's broken. It'll be fixed by the time this video goes live. So you'll be able to, actually do. Oh, and I have to get the recipe fixed for the stain station, which I could have sworn I checked in my local game and it was fine. So I don't know why it's not here. I don't know. Maybe I saved the file after the files were synced over. Whatever the case, that's going to wrap this one up. Thanks for watching. Join the server if you want. Links in the video description. Come back next week for another episode, and I will see you then.